And 3, 2, 1, we are back and we are live on your TV screens, and this is Kesbin Television. And Music Plus is a show with you in mind, and that's what's up. And right about now, I have my brother, Kobe Shots. And he is a photographer and a filmmaker. Kobe. Meshana mbo nyumwe, meshana mbo we.
Ya bahuni na.
So on sano adwumani bia. A bano videos. I mean, walk us through some of the artists that you've worked with and some of the songs that you've worked on.
Okay. I've worked with Strongman for 2 years, like 2022 coming up to 2023. All these videos were filmed by me. And I've worked with Kim Paluta just recently. And also I've worked with YP on his Her Excellency. That was the video. And I've worked with Fluency. In fact, I actually owe the startup to Bonez Music, who linked me up to Fluency. And Fluency gave me that chance to actually put it out there. And right after that, it was just like a butterfly effect. It came up and came up like that. Yeah.
Wow. So getting into this space, your journey, every one of us, we have these humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Yours, how did it start for you?
Okay. I would say that I've been fortunate enough to have had, or to have a father who understands the fact that I love to do visual arts. Because, you know, there's this notion behind visual arts that, you know, people don't really understand its substantiality. So my dad was a little bit skeptical when I decided to go in there, because my dad is a lecturer at University. He's lecturing mechanical engineering. So he's from the science, you know, aspect of things. So his first son deciding to, you know, pursue visual arts was a little bit dicey for him. However, I was able to impress him on a bit of few things because of my tenacity, because nothing was gonna actually make me stop. So I kept on pushing harder and harder and harder. You know, started out with school, SHS, you know, when we used to draw on paper, what we are conventionally aware of. Then subsequently, I worked with a bit of photographers who inspired me to start out my photography in the university. So it was sort of like something inbuilt, should I say it that way. Something as innate as it is, it always pushes you to keep on doing it. So I remember back in school, University, I read communication design. And that's what we actually do: photography, filmmaking, graphic design, and whatnot, animation and all that. So I was much more enthused about live action, which is working with people, you know, working with human beings. So I was drawn towards photography because, you know, even though photography is a course that we study under communication design as a program in school, I wasn't really, you know, interested in it because it wasn't as in vogue as it is today. It wasn't until a little bit after 2017 when I graduated, and I realized that a lot of people were interested in it because of during graduation, everybody wants to become a photographer to take pictures and, you know, get something. You know what I'm trying to say? But I had started out because I was inspired by somebody who had no, you know, jurisdiction with photography as a course in school. He read painting and sculpture. And this guy was doing so well. And I remember 2015, that's when I got introduced to Instagram. And during then, we didn't have as many photographers as we do today. So that's what I did. I was going through a series of pictures. And of course, because I learned photography as a course in school, I was intrigued by a couple of things. You realize that consistently, there's a kind of style that everybody has. But there was this peculiar style that this photographer who reads painting and sculpture, who has nothing to do as a course in school, was doing. I looked up at something and I realized that the colors were kind of like surreal, but it made sense. So what exactly was that? Then over time, I realized that we have something that we call color grading. And that was what actually made me understand that when you edit a photo, it's not just, you know, taking out blemishes or whatsoever, but there's more to it. You can add your bit of touch. So I started to, you know, pursue photography for real. And fortunately enough for me, when we were almost about vacating second year university, vacated long vac, that's after second semester, our TA, who took us through photography, was gracious enough to give us a set of courses. And that was the start of everything. I understood it better. This time around, it was more like you can actually go back to it and watch it if you don't understand something. Thankfully, my dad, because of academic purposes, he decided to buy me a camera. And my first camera was a Nikon D5100, which isn't, everything, but it was a good start. Then over time, I realized that, working with friends who were also photographers, we were really doing it for real, taking pictures of models, posting it here and there, getting all the likes and comments. I wanted to become like them. So I started following them up to, their sets. And as they shot pictures, I would ask them questions. That was how much in depth I wanted to understand photography. Then over time, I would go to them, ask for their equipment, like I say, lighting, and start with a bit of things. What I've studied on YouTube with the courses as well, then it propelled me to know that you can actually go to YouTube and find courses which are free. So that was it. When that was actually.
So now, your first project when it comes to music videos.
Okay.
Which year was that, and who is the artist that you work with?
If my memory serves me right, that was, it was during elections. That was like 20. That was just before elections. I can't really remember which year exactly, but it's been quite some time. It was just a gig about a song that had to do with let's maintain peace and stability. Let's not fight ourselves. We are one people and all that. And I got that contract. So I was not really ready. However, the guy who brought the contract was a friend of mine who believed in what I was doing. He had seen me take some, videos a little bit, and it was just like I was just taking them for the fun of it, not knowing that we were going to get introduced to it in school for real, even in third year. So getting that contract to shoot videos and coming out with that video, I remember my mom. She was so much in the wait to see the video. So I remember she asked me when exactly is it going to air. I told her, and trust me, she didn't sleep. She didn't blink until she waited to watch it. And I realized something about, that kind of support that I got. So it told me that I can actually do more, because this is me who initially, before this particular gig, thought I couldn't do it. Now I'm actually, improving day by day, because as I'm improving and watching videos and creating videos to teach, I get to learn so much more. So it was down to Flo Kingstone's project, and I remember I was at Tubani Music's studio. We were over there, and Flo King came through. I had no idea that Tubani had told him about me, and he likes how I take pictures, and he's sure that I can actually do something with the video. So I remember, Flo King was a little bit skeptical. I could actually sense it, but because I had done it before with the little that I could maximize with, I was really up to it. And I told him I can do it. So he asked me that, are you sure you can create this concept? And the concept was simply to ensure that we have a very dark space. And with the education of photography, which has lighting here and there, I could incorporate that, or I could apply my knowledge in, lighting. So what I know is when the light is harsh and you set your camera to close down so it doesn't take so much light, it renders everything else but where the light is hitting dark. And that's what I actually did for him. And to be frank, that space wasn't covered in black cloth or whatsoever, not painted. It was an uncompleted building with blocks. So of course, blocks are not black, but I was able to do that. And when of course, because he was skeptical, he had to take a look at the first thing I did, and he was amazed. That was when he actually let me flow, and people were happy about it when it came out. I was really impressed with his friends.
So like that is the best rapper?
Yeah, best rapper, Africa. Bruh. That was me.
Bruh. So that video was shot
in an uncompleted space, right above Tubani's home, those days.
You kidding me?
For real. For real. Just one light from above. And that was it. It's all about understanding.
And a lot, I mean, a lot of reviews about that video.
Yeah.
People talked about it. It was so on point. And then first trial video. I mean,
that wasn't my trial. A-list artist video.
A-list artist video.
Yes.
For the first time.
For the first time.
So political one in the end, they've been fancy music videos.
I was
fun to say.
fine out.
And then one of those things.
Yes.
but having to shoot
Yeah.
an official video for an A-list artist was for Floking Stone.
Yeah, it was for Floking Stone.
And I mean, every photographer, every filmmaker will talk about equipment, we talk about logistics.
Yes.
Setting yourself up or getting a team, getting things to work with. What do you net to say? Did you have things on your own? I mean, starting photography, starting up as a filmmaker in Africa, in Kumasi to be precise. How was it? The startup.
Yeah, the startup wasn't easy because there's somebody who has so much knowledge about a particular equipment that he can't buy at that point in time. So I was pushed, I actually pushed myself, not somebody, but I was pushed to, you know, maximize the little that I had. So with a flash, I remember clearly that was a speed light. That didn't do so much, but I was able to set my camera up and make sure that the camera could see the light. Because when the light flashes, depending on the settings that you have inputted on your camera, you know, it will tell whether it sees the light where it's hitting or not. So I didn't have so much. It was just the camera and the flash speed light, the one that we mount on top of the camera body. Now that was it. And I started like that. And moving forward to video, it was just an LED panel that I had seen on YouTube. And it explained a couple of things about lights and why you need to use these lights instead of, let's say, for instance, shooting under, you know, street lights. Because street lights don't really render skin tones accurately. You realize that if you wear something, let's say blue, you go stand under it, can turn into purple or something like that. So it made me understand that, okay, so the types of lights actually eases up when you're coloring. So I bought that small light by virtue of watching that video and understanding what it was supposed to do for me. And yeah, I started shooting a few videos. Like, I think that was during COVID. Yeah, during COVID, I remember we didn't have so much space to move around. So even some gigs, you would do it, you know, secluded.
Just in a room.
Like that, just in a room. But I wanted to be free and create something new. So that was the avenue. And I remember it was just, you know, a beer bottle that I set up, and I took some shots of it, lighting and seeing how it looks like. Because when you shoot and you have the view seen, you can tell how the light is going to render in some of the cameras. So that camera that I was using was able to let me do that. That was a GH5 Lumix. That was my first, you know, most expensive, you know, camera that I've ever bought.
Oh.
Yes. And it could aid me to do a lot. When I posted it on my YouTube channel, I also did behind the scenes explaining how I did it. I realized that people were so impressed. And they told me that, okay, so I've been actually boxing myself in the wedding space, or perhaps maybe shooting a couple of things, but I could actually go into, you know, commercials and shoot minute, detailed, you know, products. And that was it. Then I followed up with a can. First was a bottle, now a can. And they all have different characteristics. And as I was doing that during COVID, I was able to have all the time, let's say, in the world to pursue my, you know, now found interest. And that's what actually led me to buy more lights. Because now people were loving my work, and I could even shoot for some brands at home because they were impressed by the look. They would send me products because we couldn't shoot outside. They were all supposed to be indoors. So they send me products, pick them up, take videos of them, send it to them, and I get paid.
So when you talk about a photographer and you talk about a filmmaker, what actually goes into your work?
A whole lot. I mean, people think that taking pictures is as easy as just pointing, you know, like your phone at something, but a lot more goes into it. And to tell you a lot more goes into it is a lot of calculations. You have things that you compensate. You have to compensate for this light and that light to ensure that once you blast it, you know, you should be able to separate what you want your audience to see from what you don't want them to see. So that's exactly what it was. And you know, shooting videos over and over and over again, I became very much, you know, confident in all that I was doing, because yeah, people were loving it and all that.
The last time we met, it was at Alliance Francaise, and it was this short video.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I could see the effects and other things that were deployed in that video. Now, the work that you do as a photographer, as a filmmaker, do you think the Ghanaian video filmmaker or photographer has what it takes to compete globally when it comes to that side of the industry?
Big time. You have no idea the myriad of people who can do great. As I was saying, photography wasn't as in vogue as it is today. So then you could actually tell, okay, this person is actually now improving and whatnot. But today, when you look at pictures taken by photographers today, you realize that this person just started. I remember he would just hit me in my DM and ask me a couple of things, and now he's doing great. So I could see that, okay, so if we are even getting recognized like that, and we are pushing hard, that simply means that we are actually up to it. And trust me, Ghanaians, I wouldn't say that we kind of like not appraise ourselves, because we feel like, yeah, this is a little bit better than mine and all that inferiority complex. But the truth of the whole matter is that if you can maximize the little that you have, which I would confess that lots of Ghanaian photographers and filmmakers are doing, if you can maximize the little you have, imagine giving all the equipment. We are really up to the task, because looking at the works that have been surging, that have been churned out by photographers. If you take your time to go check Instagram and just type Ghanaian photographers, you'll be marveled. Yeah.
I've seen this complaint online that most of the photographers they are not painting nipano. Omutumi yana nipano mpasa.
Okay.
One can say your image. So is it ethical to do that?
Actually, there are no set rules or principles to how a photographer should work. However, if you actually take a picture, for instance, and you realize that this picture looks wrong as against what I envisioned before I shot, then it becomes a mistake because it is yours and you consider it to be so. However, the style of every photographer is very peculiar to them. People are able to develop their own styles. Personally, I have a style. People can look up at my picture and recognize that it's actually from me. Because, talking about what you even explained or you asked concerning people looking different right after retouching. It's called retouching, when you are touching the picture up. Because as a photographer, you know how to get it right in camera so that you wouldn't have so much or little to do, during post-production or editing. So I would say it's not a mistake. However, if your client doesn't approve of it, sometimes some clients are really much aware about these extreme editing styles, and models are equally aware of that. But do you know, the truth of the whole matter is some people actually appreciate it that way.
Wow.
Yes. So I think it's supposed to be a question that should be put to the client or whoever is meant to pay for that particular image or whoever the image is for. You ask the person, how exactly do you want it to look like? Sometimes you can take references, and most often than not, if you have a lot of work in your portfolio, they make references to your pictures. So it tells you about, okay, this person likes my style. This person likes this and that and that. So, I wouldn't say it's an error. There are no ethical constraints to hold photographers back from creating as they desire.
What do you think is the challenge to your industry? Do you think you are getting the attention as needed for that side of the creative industry? Or probably there is more that the government or the people needs to do to support that side of the industry?
Yeah, we are pinned down a little bit. We are always maximizing the little that we have. And for instance, if I'll go out there and shoot and wouldn't have people acknowledge me for my work, if you're not as tenacious as probably myself, you might be let down by yourself. Okay, so I would say that we are pinned down. However, we should consider that as a loophole or as an avenue, an advantage to create good images even with those few or minute equipment acquisition or access to equipment. Because you shouldn't see every mess up as a problem. Fine, it can be improved. Of course, we need support. As photographers, as filmmakers, we do. That's why we'll choose a client over a particular client. Because that client is probably paying heftier than the other. And of course, we all have plans. So if I want to improve, I need to get money, access to money and funds, to go purchase those ones. So we need support in every aspect. Some people are fortunate enough to have parents who would buy them everything that they need. Others go through the process. And I will tell you for a fact, or this is my opinion, if you would compare somebody who has gone through the hurdles, jumped over the hurdles, maximize the little, equipment that you can have access to or what you can purchase. If you look at the person's flow, when today the person's doing so well, you realize that there's something conceptual and peculiar about that particular work. Up against somebody who just got the chance to use heavy equipment, because people think if you have heavy equipment and all the high-end, equipment, you'll be able to produce something great. But I can tell you for a fact, a lot of people have a lot of huge cameras. However, I can use the simplest of cameras, like there's a Canon EOS 6D or 60D, or even 600D, which is, the least of the three I just mentioned. And I can still create great images because I understand the limitations it has. So of course, we are open to support wherever it may come from. We need to improve and all that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now let's get to some of, the newest projects that you've gotten on board now. Okay. Trapped, The Lost Identity.
Yeah.
Is this your first movie?
No, this isn't my first. This is actually my second full feature film. We have types of our genres of films, and they are all categorized under types. So Trapped is my second full feature film. The first was Room 406, and I have a lot of short films that I use that as a point to learn, to get myself ready for the bigger projects that I need to work on. So this is not my first. This is actually my second full feature film, which is really big for me because, trust me, somebody who is almost, funding everything himself. I have a team who help me and support me greatly. However, you need to be able to sustain them and make sure that they are much more confident in you. And that's where the problem or the challenge may come from. Because you need to stand your ground. Sometimes I can shoot a film, and I'll tell you how much I used for that. I can't get all the crew members and all that because I have a particular style in my head I want to create. For instance, Trapped. Because I've had experiences with Room 406, which was the first, that got premiered at the SG Morel View Cinema. I spent a whole lot of money. But comparing it to Trapped after 2 years from Room 406, I haven't spent half of that particular amount because of the able people that I have around me and how much confidence I believe I've instilled in them to actually go out of their way as compared to before when I was just starting out, to help me push this forward. So it's really challenging. However, we are actually on it. Yeah.
So the movie actually premieres tomorrow.
Tomorrow, exactly.
God willing, at the CCB Auditorium.
Yes.
KNUST.
KNUST.
Who was trapped in there?
In as much as I would love to intrigue Ghanaians, well, how about behind closed doors? How you talk about it? Because I would love people to come and see something that we are introducing to the industry, because most often than not, films that are churned out by Ghanaians are not really considered by our audience. I've seen that through our raves that we've gone through to talk to students over there on campus. You realize that the confidence and the interest level that they have is quite diminished. They will always say that Ghanaian films are like this or like that. You ask them and it's like the last time they watched a Ghanaian film was like 5 years ago. And those have changed.
Yeah.
We are doing that. So it means that we are not instilling enough confidence in them, or probably our channels of disseminating our projects or our films are not really enough, or we are not tapping into the international market. You realize that Ghanaians enjoy mostly, in my opinion, Nigerian films a lot. And you see that there's a style to the Nigerian films that they love. And Nigerians are able to market their language, their food. They even incorporate names, our culture, our food, into their songs. And they are just penetrating and stealing our audience. You get me? So Trap was inspired by that. Because I thought Room 406 was going to be the deal break. The search. But it wasn't it. Because I was overconfident. Yes, I think that was what it was. So having the experience that I had with Room 406 and bringing it over to Trapped, I realized that I've improved a whole lot with even the promotion and all that. And you know that as a creator, you should always create your own content. Don't wait for contracts to come your way. Because clients will definitely, restrict you to what they are looking for. But if you have that, that zeal to create your own projects, you can then tell the world that I'm capable of doing this. Probably you thought I couldn't, but this is how I've actually come. And, Trapped wasn't any different because it's massive. So I'm not going to tell you who was Trapped. However, we have Dr. Likey in it. and he is the reason why everything happened.
How different is this project from the Ghanaian movies that we've seen so far in the cinemas?
Okay, I would say Ghanaians have been doing so well, trying to match up to what Ghanaian and Nigerians or other industries are doing. However, having that formal education in photography and filmmaking and incorporating or applying what I know to what I do, I realize that most often than not, I see films on YouTube that are filmed, let's say, one take and all that. One take is not a problem. However, if it's a skit, for instance, you're allowed to do that. Sometimes even one take can be in a full feature film and all. So what I consider to be different from what I've seen so far by Ghanaians is basically the cinematography, because I try to replicate what I've seen other industries do. Hollywood, to be precise. Nollywood, yes, I learned a thing or two because I love what they're doing with their color grading and all that. But there's something about Hollywood that one thing that actually, this reminded me, one thing that enthused me or, made me perplexed about the industry over there in Hollywood is you realize that sometimes they can shoot some scenes in a washroom where there's a large mirror, right? You know exactly where the camera is because, of course, your eyes are the camera as an audience, but you don't see the reflection over there on the other side. So I was wondering, how are they doing this? So they push me, they actually challenge me to do more because I'm trying to replicate. And as I replicate, just like I said with photography concerning the guy who was into painting and sculpture instead of communication, which I was learning, you realize that what I do, what I learned from Hollywood is so much that it pushes me, it actually inspires me to do better. Because of course, I cannot match up with them right now because of the heavy crew members who are actually intellectual about, filmmaking, who are going out of their ways, working in just a department over a department over a department. Because in filmmaking, you need a lot of departments. But I want to show the world that we can match up in terms of cinematography, first of all, with our films and with my films, Greatest Productions. And you realize that I try to replicate some shots that can't conventionally be achieved with certain, an equipment like a gimbal, which stabilizes shots. And I mean, it comes out and people will feel or think that, how did you shoot this? You explain to them and they are amazed. So that's how different. And color grading, of course, I'm coming from the jurisdiction of music. Yeah. So as I shoot music videos, of course, I realize that there's something about our music videos. Is it that because a music video elapses just a few minutes, let's say 3 or 4 tops, it's easy to take your time and shoot it with all the principles that filmmakers learn or know, as against shooting films. So you realize that films, I think, because of time constraints, sometimes the actors, they have to get onto another set and all that, a lot of stuff. And that pushed me to want to work with people who are ready or who understand my plight and what I really want to achieve. So even if it's going to take all the time in the world, I'm still going to talk to my people, appeal to them that this is what I want to achieve. And in the end, every time it comes out, they are all impressed. And Trapped, trust me, you have to come and see this.
And you are trapping us in there.
Yeah.
To be there.
Yes, of course.
So we are trapped in our thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
To be there.
Yeah. Or would you like me to just give you a little gist?
No, I don't know. I just want them to watch the trailer. And I mean, the color grading and everything must tell you that a lot of work went into this one. Yeah. And you got to be there. Yes. CCB Auditorium, tomorrow, God willing. Yeah. And the time?
The time is 6 p.m. for red carpet. We're going to actually document this because if I would go to investors, I need to show them what I've been able to do alone or with the help of just a few people who are supporting me. And, it starts at 7 p.m., the showing. It starts at 7 p.m. So that's how it's going to be. And we're actually expecting a lot of people to come through because the promo and people have called to confess what they've seen and how much they love it. I'm pretty confident that people are going to love it in the end if they come in their numbers.
And how do you get a ticket? How much is it going for?
Okay, because I'm doing it on campus, CCB Auditorium, I needed to consider the students because, it's easy to go to the students because you know where exactly they are. Right after class, into their rooms. Right after class, into their rooms. So you always have them. If you contact somebody or you tell somebody to buy a ticket, and you would want to come back to the person, you know exactly where it is. So we situated this particular film for students, and the target audience is actually that way. And for that matter, we had to reduce it from the 50 cedis regular for people who are not students to 40 cedis, so that the students can actually come, or they can be intrigued to come through. And a double goes for 40 cedis for regular people as well as students. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody needs to be there.
Yes.
Because we are trapped in our thoughts.
Yeah.
Wrapping up with you, what are you ending? I mean, a message or something that you may want to add.
Yeah. First of all, maybe some people would have difficulties in contacting us, so I can leave some contacts first of all. If you want to purchase a ticket, there's these contacts. There are these contacts: 054-223-6420, 054-223-6420. And there's another contact. Even though it's not here, you can still reach out to our team at 050-138-4627. Once again, 050-138-4627. The message I would like to put out there, to wrap everything up, is to say that Ghanaians, we as an industry are actually doing so well that we just need your support. Because it's so tough that you go to students and they will say, I don't want to watch a film. They're asking for who is in it. And of course, I mean, sometimes our budgets for the entire film, that gets exceeded by somebody, an A-list actor who will give the film confidence or instilled into the students. Sometimes their pay or whatever they are charging us is way, way, way outrageous as compared to what we are budgeting for the film. So if youngsters like myself, working with youngsters, are able to push this and make great films, we just hope, or we are praying, and as much as soliciting for the support of Ghanaians, that they will look the way of Ghanaians. Because if someone would say that the last time she watched or they watched a Ghanaian film was 5 years and it's not a good industry or the industry is being trampled over, I don't think that's actually something true that we should propel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually up to it. Yeah.
All right, and the name is Kobe Shots.
Yeah.
And he's a filmmaker and a photographer as well. And he has a new project, Trapped, which is showing tomorrow at the CCB Auditorium. You better be there or be nowhere. Thank you so much, my brother, for being here.
Thank you so much.
And I know we'll do more of this one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we need to tap into a whole lot of areas when it comes to the sound, the video, and everything.
Exactly.
So this is Trapped,
Trapped.
the Lost Identity. Let's be there to watch it.